Hi, it's Patty with Sleepy Glen Homestead. How you doing today? I wanted to do a real quick video today on canning pinto beans. I know there's probably a lot of other videos out there on canning pinto beans. Sorry about that. But I had a friend ask me, do you soak them ahead of time or do you do them raw? So I do them both ways, actually. And I'm going to show you what the difference is. It's not going to be a real complicated video, not going to be real long. I'm just going to show you the basics, okay? So here I've got my soaked beans. Here I've got my beans that I did not soak. You can let your beans soak overnight. Mine actually soaked for 2 days because I didn't feel good yesterday. So this is what I have. And I actually soaked, let me back up a little bit. I'm going to fill my canner. On the bottom row, I'm going to put 8 jars, wide mouth jars of the soaked beans. On the top, I'm going to put 8 jars of the non-soaked beans. So the way I measured this to make sure that I have enough, maybe I have too much, which is fine. I did 4 cups of dry beans and I soaked them. So this is what I have compared to what I have over here, which I don't know how much I have over here. It's just whatever was left out of the bag. So the easiest way to get these jars filled, I've already got a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in there. I'm going to add one of my jalapenos to each one because I just like to spice it up. And I should probably get my funnel out, right? Hold on. Okay, so I got my funnel and I'm going to put 1 cup into each jar because I measured, remember, I measured out 4 cups of beans for my 8 jars. So I could probably do more, add more into these jars because I need to leave a 1-inch headspace. But I'm not going to do that this time because I just want you to see how it all works. Okay, here's my 8 jars full of the soaked beans, and you can see that I got about a half a jar. That's not ideal. I'd really rather have it up here to 1 inch of headspace. So we're just going to let it go. We're going to see what happens because you know what? When you're cooking and you're making things, it's always an experiment. So, and I like experimenting. Now, on these other jars, I'm going to put just a half a cup of beans because I know that they're going to swell. And they may only swell up to this, which is fine. There's only 4 of us eating these, so I don't like to have a lot of leftovers. And I don't want to be wasteful. You can see I'm not doing exactly a half a cup. Close enough. Okay. Now that I got all these jars filled, I'm going to put my jalapenos. These have been in the freezer. I grew these. I'm just going to throw 1 in each jar because we just like a little bit of flavor. The only thing you cannot add to your jars when you're canning is anything that has a flour in it. Not a flour you smell, the flour you... Okay, you always want to make sure you sterilize your items when you're canning. I'm just going to fill my jars up to 1 inch of headspace. So let me get that done real fast. Okay, I've got all my jars filled up to 1 inch headspace, which is this big band right here, okay? And you can kind of see I'm a little low, but that's all right. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get all my bubbles out because you have to debubble. So let me get my bubbles out of all of these. And if your jars have too much water, just take a little out. Okay, I got my canner all loaded up. When you're canning, always make sure that this thing here moves. And believe it or not, this thing screws off. I had it fall off on me and I thought, oh no, what happened? So always check your equipment. This thing here is your vent right here. Make sure that you can see through it, put it up to a light. If you can't, stick a pipe cleaner through there, and make sure that you always wash your sealer. And now let's close her up. Let's see, I gotta find, here's my arrow right here, and I got the arrow there. I'm just gonna line the two of them up, if it's possible. There we go. Okay, now that I got this all sealed up, I'm gonna put my stove on high, and I'm gonna get it to where this is blowing steam, like constant steam. And you'll know when you get there, because this little, if you have one like mine, this little thingy here will be popped up. This one in the back here, you can see it, this guy back here, he'll be popped up, and then it'll start forcing steam out of here. Once it is steamed for 10 minutes, then I'm gonna put my gauge on there. I'm gonna let it come up to 11 pounds because that's what my altitude requires. And once it gets up to 11 pounds, I'm gonna set my timer for 40 minutes. After 40 minutes, then I'm gonna take it off the stove, turn it off, and just let it sit. It's probably gonna take 45 minutes for this to go down, the other one in the back to go down, and all this to come back down to 0, okay? So just take your time. It's not a scary thing. You're not gonna blow your house up. Just make sure that your lid is good and sealed, okay? All right, I'll come back to you when this process is all over with and I'm ready to take the lid off. Okay, I wanted to bring you back real fast because I'm ready to set my timer for 10 minutes while I'm venting, but you can see this piece here is popped up. Ouch, that's hot. That's definitely steaming. This piece back here has already popped up, and it's been doing this for a few minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and set my timer because this is coming out real nice for 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna put my weight on. Okay, it's been 10 minutes and I'm gonna put my little weighted gauge on here. Now it's gonna be nice and quiet. I'm gonna let it get up to the 11 pounds and then start my timer. While we're waiting on the canner to get up to pressure, I just want to show you, this is the book that I use. It's the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. It's my Bible. I do a lot of writing in here for a lot of the things that I can often, so that I don't have to go searching through the book. But I just want to show you here on page 387 is fresh lima, butter, pinto, or soybeans, okay? And the reason why I'm going to show you this is because there's some information in here that I really didn't go over, like hot pack, raw pack, or both methods, or how you do it and how far up you fill the jars. Because in here it says to wash and shell beans, wash again and drain, which, you know, I had this bag of beans here that I got from Walmart. Okay, I think I paid $6 for 4. I know I'll get 16 jars out of that 4-pound bag, okay? Raw pack, it says loosely pack beans into hot jars as directed in step 3, see page 385. Do not press or shake down, okay? So let's go back to 385. And it says here, prepare select raw pack or hot pack vegetables as directed in the recipe. Okay, down here's a tip, pack raw vegetables as tightly as possible in jars unless otherwise noted. This one said to loosely pack them. Pack your vegetables into jars to within a generous 1 inch of the top of the jar. Add salt to finishing. If using, add specific in chart below. For pints, it says a half a teaspoon. I added a 1/4 teaspoon because I know that when I go to use these, I can add more salt to it if I choose to do it. But then if I have too much salt in there, it's hard to get it out once they're cooked. Okay. So back to here, it says to pack your vegetables into jars within a generous 1 inch of the top of the jar. If you do your beans that have not been soaked, you know they're going to swell. I suggest you do not pack up to the 1-inch headspace. Don't do it because they need room to expand. That's why I showed you that I only add a half a cup of the the unsoaked beans into my jars. And when they come out of the counter, I'm going to show you exactly why, okay? So here's a good reference, page 385. It says, furthermore, add your salt, remove air bubbles, adjust your headspace, which you saw me do. If necessary, add more water, wipe your rims, center the lid on the jar, screw the band down until resistance is met, then increase to fingertip tight. You know I could not crank it down because it was full of boiling water. Place jars in your pressure canner, adjust your water level in your canner, and you should have a line at the bottom. I fill my canner up first, up to the line, and then I add my jars, and I don't bother taking any more out because I don't want to can on no water, so I just leave more water. We vented the steam for 10 minutes and then I closed the vent. Okay, now let's go back over here because I am now ready to shut this thing down. We're getting a little high here, so I'm just gonna crank this down to probably a 2.5, and I'm gonna set my timer now for 40 minutes. I typically can a little bit higher than 11 because if I go below 11, I have to start it all over again. So I will can between 11, 12, maybe 13. It's getting a little high right now, but you can see down here is the caution. I never go that high. I did one time and it blew out the bottom of a jar, so you don't want to do that. Okay, so let's come back in 40 minutes. Okay, we're done. This little pressure gauge, I guess, thingy is down. There's no more pressure in here. I'm on 0, and the one behind it is also off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna open this lid up, and I'm not gonna take it off. I'm just gonna set it on the edge there for about 5 minutes, okay? And then I'll come back. Okay, the jars are out of the canner. This jar here came from the top of the canner, and that was my beans that were soaked. This jar here was the unsoaked bean that was on the bottom of the canner, and I added a half a cup of unsoaked beans to this jar here, and I added 1 cup of soaked beans to this jar, filled up my my liquid up to 1-inch headspace, got all the bubbles out, and sealed it up. You can tell it doesn't matter either way you do it. You're still gonna get the same amount of beans. They're all cooked. And so it's just your preference if you want to pre-soak or just rinse and add a half a cup. So that's kind of my little take on how I do beans. Always be sure to read your ball book, and if you're not sure how much you're supposed to add, because it just doesn't seem right, it probably isn't right, because you know your beans are going to need room to swell or not swell. So I could have added beans all the way up to 1-inch headspace, and it probably would have been fine on these pre-soaked beans, because you can see I still have room. I could have added some more, but anyways, that's fine with me. I have enough beans. Each jar will last us for 1 meal. So anyways, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that button and subscribe and hit that bell so that you'll know next time I upload a video, okay? Take care.